Breaking developments. Democrats making big gains in Virginia on Tuesday, winning the governor's race and flipping 10 state house seats in a victory widely viewed in the media as a repudiation of President Trump. Is it? Joining us now, our Fox News media analyst, Howard Kurtz. He is also host of MediaBuzz, airing Sundays on Fox News Channel. A headline in the New York Times on Wednesday called it a big rebuke of Trump. Howie, is it?
Well, that's certainly the media narrative, and there's no question that Donald Trump was a significant factor in the Virginia race, John. But, you know, what many pundits are just simply forgetting is that Virginia is basically becoming a blue state. It was won by Hillary Clinton. It was won twice by Barack Obama. And the danger here is getting over-caffeinated and over-interpreting a couple of off-year elections into projections that, wow, the Democrats now really have a good chance to take over the House, when, in fact, they have to pick up 24 seats, and many of those are in red states, much less friendly territory than Virginia.
And as you point out, nobody wanted to predict that Ralph Northam, the Democrat, was going to actually win that race ahead of the actual voting.
Yeah, the polls were tight, and then you know, a lot of people thought Ed Gillespie, because he's a former chairman of the RNC, who, by the way, distanced himself from Donald Trump, and that has to factor into the analysis that he might pull it off. So the press was basically wrong or overcautious on that. At the same time, look, when we project what's going to happen a year from now, it's crazy because the Trump presidency may look very different a year from now than at the current situation when Donald Trump's still struggling a bit in the polls.
But after the loss, the president tweeted out his observation that he didn't feel that Ed Gillespie was enough of a Trump supporter, that he didn't embrace the president enough.
Well, there's no question about that. Gillespie is the classic Washington establishment lobbyist, former Bush White House aide. He didn't want the president to come campaign for him, to raise money for him. He barely mentioned Donald Trump's name, even though he tried to run on a couple of sort of hot-button Trump-like issues, such as immigration, such as Confederate statues. In the end, he was sort of caught in the middle. He didn't have the Trump supporters, and he may have alienated some more traditional Republicans.
In your piece on FoxNews.com, you write, America, in short, is not Virginia or New Jersey. So the implications of this, you think, are being stretched.
Yeah, and we do this every 4 years. You know, if the New Jersey and Virginia gubernatorial elections were in another year when there were lots of other elections, it would kind of get lost in the shuffle. But right now, it's all the prognosticators have. They love to read the tea leaves. And I do think, well, certainly it was a big day for the Democrats. There's no question about that. It might be lending itself to a little bit of over-interpretation. In
case people were not watching Conan last night, the former President Bill Clinton took a swipe at President Trump. Listen to some of that.
The dictators club in the world, and there's a bunch of them, you know, they want two things. They want nuclear weapons because they feel like they can never be dislodged, no matter how much people hate them, if they got nuclear power. And they want to abolish the line between fact and fiction and truth and lie. Look at the effort here to disenfranchise voters.
That seemed to be a pretty direct swipe at the current president, the 45th president of the United States. What do you make of that, Howard?
Well, but it's classic Bill Clinton, which is he never actually comes out and says, I'm talking about Donald Trump. He starts talking about dictators around the world, and Conan looks at him, and there's a couple of laughs. I mean, this is the sort of light touch that Bill Clinton excelled at. His wife never really had in either of her presidential campaigns. And, of course, Conan's not going to follow up with a tough question about what do you mean about suppressing voters? So Clinton kind of takes his shot, but there's no line in the transcript where you can say, wow, he went too far.
Yeah, and it's curious that it came a year after President Trump defeated his wife in that, you know, unexpected election result from 2016.
Yeah, I don't think Bill Clinton has forgotten that. And, you know, we haven't heard much from him lately because so much attention has been on Hillary. She continues her endless book tour. She continues to take shots at President Trump. Some Democrats have been actually come out and said, especially after the whole Donna Brazile flap, that they wish Hillary Clinton would kind of get off the stage and let the Democrats focus on the next generation of leaders who might actually be able to win some seats next year or challenge the president in 2020.
Let's talk big media picture for a moment. AT&T wants to buy Time Warner, merge those two companies together. Time Warner owns CNN, AT&T owns DirecTV. Democrats never much liked the deal, but now there are concerns that the Justice Department could block it unless they spin off CNN and the Turner Media Group. President Trump has obviously had his issues with fake news. How big a story is this?
You know, there's a bit of a perception problem for the administration because of the president's repeated attacks on CNN as fake news, and now reports that Justice Department officials have told AT&T that either you'd have to get rid of CNN and Turner Broadcasting or DirecTV. That's kind of a classic antitrust concern that comes up when you have two big companies that are on the verge of merging. So I don't think there's any evidence that the Justice Department is improperly pressuring AT&T, and I think that that's being a little bit overinterpreted. And by the way, even if CNN does get spun off and so it's not going anywhere, somebody will continue it. So I think people who don't like this deal are using the CNN angle as a way of trashing it, but there's no firm evidence. In fact, the White House says President Trump has never discussed this with the Justice Department.
All right. Howard Kurtz, our media critic. We'll see you Sunday on MediaBuzz. Thank you.
Great to see you, John.